Good day, good afternoon, good morning, and how you going? It's Roger Roadside here saying hello. Hello. Listen, the Greens win. The Greens bloody won. Look at them. Oh, they're dancing in the streets. I've heard the word seismic about 27 times this morning on the radio. What a seismic effort! What a seismic result! They've beaten for so many years that was a Labor-dominated area, and they've absolutely smashed them. So in that sense, well done. For me, it's a bit of a hollow victory. I mean, Labor have literally obliterated themselves. But if the Greens want to celebrate their seismic win, by all means, go for it. Go for it. To me, it just thinks of, you're a boxer who's in relatively good shape. You know how to throw a punch, and into the ring steps someone who's urinated all over himself, hasn't swung a punch in his life, is about 30 years younger than you. He is, 5 stone bigger than you, and only knows 2 words, and those words are goo goo and gaga. And as the bell rings, they just sit there and defecate themselves, whilst you land a couple of punches and knock them out. That's a very violent way of looking at things, but that's essentially what's happened. Labor has literally just obliterated themselves. They've self-combusted. The way that they've acted over the last 12 to 18 months has been ridiculous, and I think we've seen that in the results of this little election. So, well done to Greens. But it is interesting because I don't know. There was for some reason there was talk that Reform was going to win that seat, but I never really gave that much credence because I knew that that's a very heavily populated area for certain sort of religions and followings. So it's going to be very hard for Reform or anyone who has any sort of immigrant policy to win places like that. It's like Edmonton, Enfield, you're never going to win those areas because the majority of people within those areas are the people that you're, essentially campaigning to either, do something about or at least keep an eye on. You're proposing that, you've got it lucky at the moment where you even if you are here legally, so to speak, in quotations, once you've got that indefinite leave to remain, then, well, that's it. You can, once you've got that indefinite leave to remain, you could go on benefits for the next 40 years. Doesn't matter. You can not work another day in your life. And obviously, whether it be the Tories or whether it be Reform or whether it be Restore, they've obviously got policies on trying to address those that current situation. So it's always going to be very difficult for anyone within those areas to win seats within these types of places, which to me then, brings it back to a thought whereby, do we really live in a democracy? Do we really live in a democracy? Because if we really lived in a democracy, then you would expect that throughout the entire audience of the country, there would be, whilst there would be some variance in the things that people were concerned about, you would think that there would be a commonality in, the cost of living, inflation, the economy, what are we doing about defence, what are we doing about immigration, because you can't just have a situation, unless you're the Greens apparently, because they just think you can have a situation where you just open up the doors and you just give everyone a free house and benefits for the rest of their life. Give them as much drugs as they want, let them watch as much porn as they want, doesn't matter. Do what you want, mate. As long as you're not British, you can get whatever you want. But I would assume that would be the most common bedrock. Whether you're right-leaning or left-leaning, I would assume that there's some commonalities in concerns across the country. But when you start having a country that has fostered and enabled communities, it's almost countries within a country. You've almost got countries within a country here in the UK, and therefore, if parties or a party have policies that go sort of against that country, then no one from that country is going to vote for you. So therefore, is it really a democracy? Because all you're doing is you're getting parties that, the Greens were nothing. The Greens were nothing. They would steal the odd vote. There'd be someone that people would vote for because they couldn't be bothered voting for Labour or the Tories, because we all know that they're as bad as each other, and sometimes you throw Greens a vote or two because it's just, at least they're not the Tories, or at least they're not Labour. But the Greens have started to become something because they're playing to a specific country, in quotation marks. We saw today that a lot of their materials they put out not in the English language. And I heard them on the radio saying, "Oh, we do that all the time. We do it for other." Do you? I've never heard you do it for the Chinese. Never seen you do it for the Maltese. Never seen you do it for the Serbians or the Americans. We all know that they speak a bit different. Probably not. Hey y'all, we're going up for the election. But you know what I mean. I think it's very clear that they've hitched their wagon to a certain type of community, and it will be interesting to see exactly how far that community sticks with them, because I don't necessarily think that community has had to have voted for them because they have no other option. They can't vote for Tories. They can't vote for Reform. They definitely can't vote for Restore. They can't vote for Labour because Labour's just horrendous. So what do? Where do they go? The only place for them to go is Greens. But whether they know it or not, obviously Greens want a very, very liberal, and in certain respects that goes against that sort of culture and the religion. Obviously, not banning porn and all that sort of stuff goes against that religion. Legalizing sort of prostitution and stuff like that goes against that religion. Legalizing drugs, even if it is in a controlled method, goes against that religion. I'm sure their views on the LGBTQ KFC community goes against their religion. So, at what point do they then kick back and say, listen, hang on, we can't back this any longer? But yeah, look, I think it's interesting. Again, I preface this, if you haven't seen my videos before, I don't follow, I'm not sold on any political party. If I'm brutally honest, I think all politicians are as bad as each other. Even the sheer fact that this morning I heard people from the Greens going, "Oh yes, we won over Reform," and stuff like that. It's like it's a blood sport. It's like, get over yourselves, mate. Okay, well done. You're elected. Celebrate the fact that you're elected. But why would you have to drag other people through the mud? Because that sort of stuff stinks to me. I don't get it. I don't think it's appropriate. Whether you're Reform, whether you're Greens, whether you're Labour, whether you're Liberal, whoever you are, you're fighting for the ability to serve the people. And all right, you've won. Well done. You now get to serve the people. But what are you doing? What are you achieving by slandering another group or whatever? I don't other than just coming off as a bit of a knob. Like, I don't know. That just sort of steers me out the wrong way. But listen, what do you think? Get your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get your thoughts on the situation as I dreadfully attempt to park here and make sure that I don't hit any other vehicles. But as I said, you know, I'm not aligned to any party. I don't really know who I'm going to vote for in the next big election. Yeah, look, if you like these sorts of videos, or if you want to get involved in the community, make sure you subscribe. I'm about to release another little challenge for subscription, so I'd really love you to get behind it. That's it from Roger Roadside. This is me saying goodbye, farewell, I'll see you later, be good to your mum. All right, ciao.